Chapter 26. The Celestial Library's Whisper. The dawn broke with a strange brilliance. Yetian awoke from his daily one-year sign-in cultivation reward, his meridians glowing faintly with silver light. The system's cold voice echoed within him. Daily sign-in successful. Reward: entry to the Celestial Library for 3 hours. Note: knowledge transcends cultivation. Only the worthy may understand. Yetian's eyes narrowed. The Celestial Library was said to be the divine repository of forgotten martial scriptures, laws of the Tao, and immortal insights. No one below the Celestial Emperor realm had ever set foot there, and now he had 3 hours. The world blurred. When his vision cleared, Yetian stood inside a hall where endless scrolls floated in golden starlight, each exuding profound Tao intent. Voices whispered, ancient cultivators, saints, and emperors leaving behind echoes of their wisdom. He reached out, his hand brushing against a jade scroll. Instantly, knowledge surged into his mind. The 9 heavens reversal art, a forbidden technique to overturn cause and effect. His sea of consciousness shook, threatening collapse, but his willpower endured. As the hours ticked away, Yetian absorbed not just techniques, but understanding. He comprehended fragments of time Tao, touched upon the mysteries of soul flames, and glimpsed the structure of higher cultivation realms. When he was expelled, his body trembled. Blood dripped from his nose, but his eyes burned with new brilliance. With this knowledge, I am no longer walking in the dark. Now I forge my own path. Chapter 27. Shadows of the Heavenly Court. News spread across the realms. Yetian, the anomaly, had touched the Celestial Library. The Heavenly Court trembled. Elders debated in secret chambers. In the throne hall, the Supreme Celestial Emperor frowned. An insect who should be beneath notice has entered a place reserved for us. This system of his is a danger. He ordered, summon the heavenly shadows, let them erase his existence. That night, as Yetian meditated, he felt a murderous aura approaching. Dark figures emerged, assassins trained by the Heavenly Court itself. Their weapons carried divine seals, enough to slay even immortal kings. Yetian's system responded. Emergency, sign-in activated. Reward: 10,000-year cultivation boost plus heaven-slaying spear, temporary 3 hours. His cultivation surged violently, stepping halfway into the Emperor Tao realm. With a single thrust, the heaven-slaying spear tore through the assassins, their shadows dissipating into nothingness. But in the aftermath, Yetian realized something chilling. The Heavenly Court was no longer observing him. They were hunting him. Chapter 28. Rise of the Sect of Tomorrow. Understanding that he could no longer fight alone, Yetian made a decision. If the heavens themselves sought to destroy him, he would gather mortals and cultivators alike into a force that defied destiny. Thus, he founded the Sect of Tomorrow, a sect that promised every disciple daily growth through his system's unique influence. Even ordinary villagers who joined began experiencing rapid cultivation progress as the system extended its blessing through Yetian's will. Disciples grew strong at impossible speeds. Warriors who would have remained outer disciples elsewhere became Tao Foundation experts in months. Word spread like wildfire. The downtrodden, the outcast, and even rogue cultivators flocked to him. Soon, the Sect of Tomorrow became a beacon of hope and a thorn in the Heavenly Court's eye. Elders whispered in disbelief. Is he building an army of system-blessed cultivators? Chapter 29. The war drums beat. The Heavenly Court could tolerate no more. They mobilized their armies, millions of celestial soldiers, led by generals wielding world-breaking weapons. The sky turned crimson as war drums shook the heavens. Divine banners unfurled. Lightning storms heralded their descent. Yetian stood at the front lines of the Sect of Tomorrow, clad in black robes, his aura towering. Behind him, disciples roared with determination. Many had been beggars, orphans, or abandoned cultivators, but now they stood as warriors. The first clash was cataclysmic. Mountains shattered, rivers boiled. The sect of tomorrow fought like demons unleashed, empowered by Yeshan's system rewards. For every fallen disciple, 2 more rose stronger. Yetian himself fought 3 celestial generals at once, his comprehension of time Tao allowing him to slow their strikes, his heaven-slaying spear reaping lives like wheat. Still, the heavenly court's might was overwhelming. The sect's defenses began to crack. Amidst the chaos, Yeshan's system spoke. Hidden quest unlocked. Defy the heavenly court. Reward completion. Sovereign system evolution. Failure, annihilation. Chapter 30, the system evolves. At the war's peak, Yetian was gravely wounded. His robes were drenched in blood, his body trembling. The heavenly court's supreme general descended, a being whose cultivation towered at the peak of immortal emperor realm. The sect of tomorrow seemed doomed. Disciples screamed, fighting to their last breath. Then, quest progress 99%. Final requirement, sacrifice of will. Yetian closed his eyes. He poured every ounce of his will, his dreams, his defiance into the system. The world froze. Time halted. Even the Supreme General's strike hung suspended in the air. The system's voice thundered across existence. System evolution initiated. From Heavenly Sign-in System to Eternal Sovereign System. A golden surge erupted from Yetian, washing over his disciples, healing their wounds, raising their cultivation, and awakening hidden potentials. He rose into the sky, his aura infinite. The Supreme General's attack shattered against his newfound power like glass. Yetian looked at the heavens, his voice shaking all creation. From today onward, I am no longer prey. I am the sovereign who rewrites destiny. The sect of tomorrow roared in unison. The heavenly court trembled. The balance of the cosmos had changed forever. Chapter 26, the celestial library's whisper. The first rays of dawn pierced through the mist, painting the mountain peaks in shades of silver and gold. Yetian sat cross-legged on the cold jade floor of his cultivation chamber. His breathing was steady, but his body was faintly glowing. Threads of luminous chi swirled around him, drawn into his meridians like rivers feeding an endless sea. Then, the familiar, cold, mechanical voice of the system echoed inside his consciousness. Daily sign-in successful. Reward, temporary entry into the celestial library, duration, 3 hours. System note, knowledge is the foundation of eternity. Comprehension will shape your destiny. Yetian's eyes snapped open, and for a brief moment, 2 stars seemed to shine in them. The celestial library, his heart pounded. Stories of it were whispered across the realms, an ethereal library said to house every scripture, technique, and heavenly law forgotten by time. It was said even emperors begged for a single glance into its depths. The world blurred around him. His chamber dissolved like mist, and in the next instant, he stood in a hall that stretched into infinity. Shelves of jade and gold spiraled into the heavens, filled with glowing scrolls and crystalline books that floated like stars in an endless cosmos. Each one pulsed with Tao whispering truths that could shatter or remake a universe. The air itself was thick with enlightenment. Even breathing here carried profound insights. A whisper brushed his ear, fragments of ancient voices. Walk the Tao of flames. Invert time, defy cause. Balance yin and yang. He reached out instinctively. A jade scroll drifted into his palm. The instant his skin touched it, a violent torrent of knowledge slammed into his mind. You have obtained comprehension. 9 heavens reversal art. Description: a forbidden art to reverse cause and effect, altering destiny itself. Mastery requires an indomitable will. Warning: excessive comprehension may damage the soul. Blood trickled from Yetian's nose. His sea of consciousness roared as though torn apart by a storm. But he gritted his teeth, clenching his fists. If I cannot endure this much, how can I defy heaven itself? He moved deeper, each step dragging his mind across seas of lightning and storms of enlightenment. He brushed past a scroll of fire and suddenly glimpsed the flame of eternity, a wisp of divine fire said to burn across timelines. Another crystal book revealed the hidden structure of time itself, strands woven like a tapestry. When 3 hours finally ended, the entire library shuddered, and he was expelled, his body collapsing to the ground outside his chamber. His breathing was ragged, his robes drenched in sweat. But his eyes were no longer the same. They burned with the clarity of someone who had looked upon eternity itself. This is the path. I will not merely follow the Tao, I will forge my own. Chapter 27, Shadows of the Heavenly Court. Far above, in the halls of the Heavenly Court, golden palaces floated upon clouds of immortal chi. Armored celestial guards patrolled as divine bells rang, announcing the Supreme Court's assembly. The celestial emperor sat on his jade throne, his face unreadable as a sea of elders bowed before him. His voice was deep, heavy with authority. An insect from the lower realms has trespassed into the celestial library. A silence fell, broken only by murmurs of disbelief. One elder trembled. Impossible! Even I have never been permitted entry. The emperor's eyes narrowed. It is not impossible. It is dangerous. This boy carries a system we do not control. If left unchecked, he will grow into a disaster. Another elder bowed low. Then shall we dispatch the shadows, your majesty? The emperor raised his hand. Yes, send the heavenly shadows. Let the boy vanish and let the world forget he ever lived. That night, Yetian was seated in meditation when the air grew colder. A sharp metallic tang filled the chamber. He opened his eyes and saw nothing, but his instincts screamed. From the corners of the room, shadows melted into existence. Black-robed figures with masks of bone emerged, their weapons glistening with divine runes. Their killing intent was so dense it could suffocate mortals from 1,000 li away. The leader spoke in a voice like gravel. Yetian, by decree of the Celestial Emperor, you are condemned. Before Yetian could move, they struck. Blades curved like moonlight slashed toward his neck. At that moment, the system roared. Emergency sign-in triggered. Reward, plus 10000 years cultivation base, temporary, plus heaven-slaying spear, 3 hours. Power surged through Yetian's veins, nearly ripping his body apart. His cultivation leapt, climbing past bottlenecks in an instant, halfway into the Emperor Tao realm. His hands gripped a spear that manifested in flames of black and gold, the heaven-slaying spear, a weapon of destruction. With a roar he thrust. The spear ripped through the assassins, shadows, their divine seals shattering like glass. Each strike echoed like thunder, tearing apart their formations. In moments, the chamber was filled with smoke and corpses, their remains dissolving into nothing. Yetian stood, chest heaving. The spear dissolved from his hands. His temporary power faded. His gaze turned upward, toward the heavens themselves. So, you will not leave me alone. Very well. If the heavens seek to erase me, then I will engrave my name into eternity. Chapter 28, Rise of the Sect of Tomorrow. The following days were filled with turmoil. Rumors spread like wildfire. Yetian had survived the shadows. Some claimed he wielded forbidden weapons, others swore he was chosen by fate. Yetian knew he could not walk alone any longer. Alone, he could kill. With followers, he could change the world. He summoned villagers, wanderers, and outcasts, speaking from atop a mountain cliff. Listen well, the heavens call you worthless. The sects cast you aside. But here, under my guidance, you will rise. You will be tomorrow itself. His words struck deep. Men and women knelt. Thus, the sect of tomorrow was born. Unlike traditional sects, where disciples struggled for scraps of resources, Yetian's system shared its blessing. Every disciple who signed in daily gained a portion of cultivation, pills, or treasures. Even the weakest farmer began sensing qi within a week. Months passed. Outer disciples reached foundation. Inner disciples broke into core formation. Veterans whispered in awe. Impossible. Their progress is faster than ancient prodigies. The sect of tomorrow grew rapidly, a beacon for the lost and desperate. Its banners spread across valleys, its disciples disciplined and loyal. And in the heart of it all, Yetian stood not as a distant master, but as a sovereign guiding them toward tomorrow. Chapter 29. The war drums beat. But the heavenly court was not blind. From the celestial palace, armies were summoned, millions of armored soldiers riding beasts of lightning, banners taller than mountains, weapons forged in divine fire. The supreme general himself, an immortal emperor at his peak, took command. Drums shook the skies, war horns blared. The heavens themselves seemed to declare war. On the other side, the sect of tomorrow assembled. They were fewer, only tens of thousands, but their eyes burned with a fire no army could extinguish. Yetian walked among them, laying his hand on trembling shoulders. "Fear not, you are not pawns, you are tomorrow's sovereigns. Today you fight not as ants, but as dragons." The battle began. The sky turned crimson. Mountains split, rivers evaporated under divine flames. The clash of armies shook the world. Disciples of tomorrow fought like demons. Empowered by daily blessings, for everyone who fell, 2 more rose stronger. At the heart of it, Yetian battled 3 celestial generals at once. Time bent around him as he slowed their strikes with his Tao, his heaven-slaying spear dancing in arcs of blood and light. Still, the tide was against them. Heavenly armies pressed closer. The sect of tomorrow's walls cracked. Then the system's voice thundered. Hidden quest unlocked. Defy the heavenly court. Completion reward. Sovereign system evolution. Failure penalty. Annihilation of host. Chapter 30. The system evolves. Yetian's body was broken. His robe was torn, blood dripping from his lips. The supreme general descended, his aura crushing like a collapsing star. One strike from him could shatter worlds. The disciples screamed. Some wept, but none ran. At that moment, Yetian heard the system. Quest progress 99%, final requirement, sacrifice of will. His eyes closed. He let go of fear, of hesitation, of even himself. Every ounce of will, every dream, every defiance against fate, he poured into the system. The battlefield froze. Time itself stopped. The Supreme General's blade hovered in midair, unable to move. System evolution initiated. Previous form, Heavenly Sign-In System. New form, Eternal Sovereign System. Golden radiance erupted from Yetian's body, spreading like a tidal wave. Wounds healed. His cultivation soared beyond comprehension. His disciples were bathed in light. The injured rose, the fallen stood, their spirits ignited, their cultivation surging. The Supreme General's strike fell, only to shatter harmlessly against Yetian's new aura. Yetian rose into the sky, hair flowing like black flames, his eyes blazing like twin suns. His voice shook heaven and earth. "I am no longer prey. I am sovereign. From this day I will rewrite destiny itself." The sect of tomorrow roared. The heavenly court trembled. And the war of eternity had only just begun. Chapter 31. The Dawn of Sovereignty. The battlefield was painted with fire and blood, but amidst the chaos stood Yetian, his aura no longer human, no longer bound by heaven's laws. The moment the eternal sovereign system awakened, everything changed. The system's golden radiance cascaded outward like a divine ocean. Wounds healed in an instant. Fallen disciples stood up once more, their eyes blazing with renewed life. Even the dying found breath and strength, as if fate itself had been rewritten by their sovereign. Above, the supreme general of the heavenly court, the iron pillar of celestial armies, gaped in disbelief. His blade, which had severed the lives of countless immortal kings, shattered like glass when it struck Yetian's aura. Yetian's voice, calm yet boundless, echoed across the battlefield. "I am sovereign. I will no longer kneel. From today forward, the heavens themselves will kneel to me." His words lit flames in every disciple's heart. The sect of tomorrow no longer saw themselves as weak rebels. They were soldiers of destiny, guided by a sovereign who defied the heavens. And in that moment, hope became unshakable. Chapter 32. Heavenly Court in Panic. News traveled faster than lightning. The celestial palace shook with fury. The celestial emperor's roar split the heavens. A mortal dares to overturn the order of the court. His jade throne cracked under his palm, his fury unmatched. Ministers trembled. Elders fell to their knees, too afraid to speak. But in the shadows of the throne room, an older presence stirred. A woman in white robes, her aura so vast that even the emperor lowered his voice. She was one of the Heavenly Ancestors, beings who predated the current heavens themselves. Her voice was soft, but each syllable carried infinite weight. Do not rush to erase him. Let the boy grow. If he reaches too high, I will personally erase him. The emperor clenched his fists. Rage boiled, but even he would not defy an ancestor's decree. Thus, Yetian was no longer merely an enemy. He had become a trial of destiny, watched by beings older than time itself. Chapter 33, Forging the Eternal Throne. Back in the sect of tomorrow, Yetian did not celebrate. He understood the court would not stop. He needed not only strength but a foundation to rival the heavens. On the highest mountain peak, Yetian began the impossible, forging a throne not of jade, stone, or metal, but of will. He drew upon the faith and determination of every disciple. They trained, they prayed, they bled, pouring their spirit into him. Under the guidance of the eternal sovereign system, these fragments of will condensed into radiant energy. Day by day, the throne rose, a seat of light carved from fragments of Tao itself. When Yetian sat upon it, the system announced. New feature unlocked, Eternal Domain. Description: host may create a personal realm where time, space, and Tao obey sovereign law. Cultivation inside the Eternal Domain increases tenfold. Duration: permanent. The Eternal Throne was not just a symbol. It was a declaration. Yetian no longer ruled a sect, he ruled a world. Across the heavens, cultivators witnessed a vision. A golden throne shining above the sect of tomorrow, visible from endless realms. Even immortals trembled. Chapter 34, Clash of Domains. The heavenly court retaliated, sending a divine domain general, an existence whose very presence carried an entire world of laws. When he descended, the skies turned into seas of fire, the ground into oceans of blades, the air into storms of thunder. His domain devoured everything. Child, the general sneered, his voice shaking mountains. You are but an insect who has mistaken luck for strength. Today I show you the true weight of sovereignty. Yetian rose from his eternal throne, calm as still water. His system chimed. Eternal domain activated. The golden radiance spread. The general's flames flickered and died, his thunder muted, his blades shattered. Inside Yetian's domain, the laws of heaven bent to his will. His disciples fought with speed and power 10 times greater than before. Wounds closed in moments. Even fear was burned away. The clash of two domains shook creation. Stars flickered and fell, rivers boiled into mist, mountains broke into dust. Yetian's spear pierced the heavens, each thrust rewriting laws, erasing the general's attacks. Finally, with a roar that shook the universe, Yetian's strike pierced the general's heart. The enemy's domain collapsed into nothingness, and silence fell across the battlefield. The sect of tomorrow erupted in victory cries. Yetian, however, only looked upward, toward the heavens. His war was far from over. Chapter 35, A Name Across the Realms. The battle's aftermath spread like wildfire. All across the realms, immortal sects, hidden clans, ancient beasts, whispers carried a single name. The sect of tomorrow, their sovereign Yetian. Rogue cultivators abandoned their masters and flocked to him. Exiled immortals sought his banner. Even immortal beasts knelt, submitting to the aura of his eternal domain. The system announced. Realm-wide recognition achieved. Reward, title unlocked, Eternal Sovereign of Tomorrow. Effect, your name has been engraved into the Tao itself. Erasure is no longer possible. Even the heavens cannot wipe your existence. Disciples wept when they heard the decree. For the first time in history, their sovereign's name was eternal. Yetian sat upon his throne, gazing at his disciples with pride, but his eyes carried the weight of foresight. He could feel it. Stronger enemies were coming. Far away, the ancestor in white robes looked down upon him from the celestial palace. Her voice was a whisper that echoed through eternity. So the boy has engraved himself into the Tao. But how long can he endure before the Tao itself breaks him? The first sovereign arc closed not with peace, but with the promise of greater storms. Yetian had risen from hunted prey to eternal sovereign, but beyond the heavenly court, the ancestors were watching. And they were waiting. Chapter 36, Shadows of the Ancestors. The eternal throne glowed above the sect of tomorrow like a sun that never set. Yetian's disciples cultivated day and night within the eternal domain, their progress multiplying tenfold. What once took decades was achieved in mere months. But with such growth came attention. High above, in the forbidden reaches of the celestial palace, 12 colossal statues stirred. These were not mere effigies, they were seals, holding fragments of wills older than the heavenly emperor himself. The ancestors. Their voices seeped through cracks in eternity. The boy engraved himself into the Tao. A sovereign has risen outside our design. He must be tested or destroyed. One statue, draped in white radiance, spoke louder than the rest. Do not send weaklings. Send trials that touch the marrow of his soul. If he survives, perhaps he is worthy to stand before us. And thus, the ancestors marked Yetian. Back in the sect, Yetian felt it, a chill not born of wind but of fate. His system pulsed with a warning. New quest, survive the ancestors' trials. Failure condition, sect eradication. The sovereign of tomorrow clenched his fists. His journey had only just begun. Chapter 37, Descent of the Shadow Trial. The first trial arrived without thunder or omen. At midnight, under a crimson moon, the sect of tomorrow trembled. A shadow army seeped from the earth, faceless beings with no heartbeat, no soul, each one a mirror of Yetian's disciples. They wielded the same techniques, the same weapons, the same Tao comprehension, but twisted, corrupted, and merciless. Disciples gasped, These are us. Yetian stood at the front, eternal spear blazing. No, they are nothing but reflections. Break them and you break your own limits. The sect roared, igniting their courage. The battle was unlike any other. Brother faced brother's shadow, disciple fought their darker self. Every strike wasn't just against an enemy, but against the weakness within. From his throne, Yetian amplified his disciples through the eternal domain. For every disciple who conquered their shadow, the system chimed. Discipline breakthrough achieved. Faith plus willpower condensed into sovereign aura. By dawn, the shadows were shattered, but the trial left scars, disciples trembling from having fought their own demons. Yetian only whispered, This is the ancestors' cruelty. They do not kill with swords alone, they kill with fear. Chapter 38, The Eternal Pavilion. The eternal sovereign system rewarded Yetian for surviving the trial. New function unlocked, Eternal Pavilion. Description, host may construct a pavilion of inheritance within the eternal domain. Each disciple may deposit insights, arts, or Tao. Knowledge stored will circulate across all disciples, multiplying comprehension rate by 20x. With this, the sect of tomorrow transformed. No longer did a disciple's growth stay their own. A sword technique mastered by one became a seed for all. Tao insights of juniors fueled even seniors. The sect became an ever-rising tide where none were left behind. As the pavilion took shape, radiant jade towers stretching into the clouds, cultivators from distant realms arrived, begging to join. Some were immortals exiled from the heavenly court. Others were beasts who once preyed upon humans. But under Yetian's throne, they found one thing, equality. Sovereign does not care what blood flows in your veins, disciples whispered. Here, only your will matters. The sect's name spread further, like wildfire consuming the heavens. And far above, the ancestors frowned. Chapter 39, The Blood River Trial. The second trial descended. Without warning, rivers turned crimson. Rain fell as blood. The earth itself wailed. From the skis descended a blood river, carrying within it the screams of countless fallen cultivators, souls devoured by the ancestors across eras. From its depths emerged blood wraiths, each forged from millions of devoured Tao. Their howls could shatter a cultivator's mind. The eternal domain trembled. Disciples fell to their knees, clutching their heads. Some began to bleed from their eyes. Yetian rose from the eternal throne, his system blaring. Emergency function activated. Sovereign heart flame. Effect: burns corruption, ignites willpower. Can be shared with all disciples. Golden flames spread like dawn across his sect. Every disciple's heart blazed, shielding them from despair. Together, they charged into the blood river, spears and swords shining against tides of crimson horror. Yetian himself waded into the core of the blood river, where the blood wraith monarch awaited, a towering abomination crowned with skulls. Their clash shook mountains into dust, tore open skis, and turned oceans into steam. In the end, Yetian's spear pierced its crown. The blood river collapsed into mist, leaving behind silence, and countless disciples kneeling, exhausted but alive. The system whispered. Trials survived, faith multiplied. Disciples, cultivation speed permanently increased by 30%. But Yetian's gaze was grim. The ancestors' trials were escalating. Chapter 40. The Ancestor in White moves. The heavenly court was silent now, too afraid to provoke Yetian directly. But the ancestors, they moved unseen. Within the celestial palace, the ancestor in white finally descended from her sealed chamber. Her presence alone dimmed the celestial emperor's glow. She gazed into the void, where Yetian's eternal throne shone across realms. A faint smile touched her lips, beautiful but colder than death. Impressive. He passed both trials without collapse. This sovereign is more dangerous than I thought. The emperor asked in fear, should we mobilize the 12 heavenly armies? The ancestor shook her head. No, if we rush, he will only rise faster. Let me test him myself. If he truly wishes to be eternal, let him face eternity. Back in the sect of tomorrow, Yetian felt a gaze fall upon him. So vast, so ancient, it felt as if the Tao itself was watching. His system rang with a new quest. Main quest updated. Face the ancestor in white. Warning, this opponent is beyond all current measurements. Survival chance, 0.01%. Yetian clenched his spear. His disciples looked to him, their faith unshakable. And above them all, the ancestor in white began her descent. The ancestor arc had truly begun. Chapter 41. The sky trembles. For days, the heavens themselves grew restless. Storms raged without end, lightning splitting mountains, seas rising to swallow coasts. The entire cultivation world whispered in dread. What power could cause even the sky to rebel? It is the ancestors. One of them is descending. At the sect of tomorrow, Yetian stood upon the eternal throne, watching cracks form in the sky itself. His disciples gathered, each one trembling, but not from fear, rather from the heavy pressure of fate pressing down upon their very souls. The eternal sovereign system spoke with a tone sharper than ever. Warning, an ancestor has locked onto you. Incoming threat level, incalculable. Survival rate, undefined. A vortex of white light spread across the heavens. From it stepped a woman clothed in flowing white, her hair like snow, her eyes deep as eternity itself. She did not radiate killing intent, yet the mere fact of her presence made reality bend. Mountains bowed, rivers froze, stars dimmed. The disciples collapsed under her aura, coughing blood. Even sovereigns hidden across realms trembled from afar. The ancestor in white had arrived. Yetian rose, spear in hand. His voice, steady, rang across the world. Ancestor or not, if you step into my sect, you face my spear. Chapter 42. Sovereign V's Ancestor. The ancestor in white's lips curved in the faintest smile. Bold. But boldness is not enough against eternity. With a flick of her sleeve, the eternal domain quaked. Entire mountains inside cracked, skis split open. Disciples fell to their knees, their very cultivation unraveling. Yetian roared, activating his sovereign authority. The eternal domain surged, his throne blazing with golden light. For the first time, his system pushed beyond limits. Emergency upgrade triggered. Eternal throne, evolving into eternal palace. New function, sovereign seal. The eternal throne expanded into a vast golden palace, stabilizing the domain. Yetian's aura rose higher, pushing back against the ancestor's crushing presence. Spears of golden light met strands of white silk. Each clash shattered thousands of miles of space. Stars above flickered. The ground below quaked. The disciples, though far weaker, burned their faith, channeling it into their sovereign. Their voices roared like a tide. For the sovereign, for the sect of tomorrow. Every word fueled Yetian's spear, strengthening him against the impossible. But the ancestor in white remained calm, her strikes gentle yet unstoppable. Each blow carried the weight of countless eras. Chapter 43, The Eternal Palace Awakens. As the battle raged, the Eternal Palace fully awakened. Within it, 9 towering halls appeared, each radiating a different aura. Sword, spear, flame, earth, time, life, death, heaven, and tomorrow. The system voice thundered. New system feature, Palace Halls. Each hall embodies a law. Disciples who cultivate within gain comprehension speed x50. Palace may channel disciples, laws into the sovereign in battle. Suddenly, Yetian's disciples weren't helpless. They entered the halls, their Tao fusing into the palace itself. From the Hall of Swords came endless sword light. From the Hall of Flames erupted infernos. From the Hall of Time flowed currents that slowed the ancestors' strikes, if only for moments. The sect itself fought alongside Yetian. The ancestor in white raised a brow, for the first time slightly impressed. So this is why the heavens tremble for you. You do not fight alone. Her power surged, white blossoms blooming across the battlefield. Each petal could erase a sovereign. Yetian roared, his disciples, faith burning within him, and met the blossoms with his spear. The clash shook the Tao itself. Chapter 44, Breaking the White Blossoms. The white blossoms spread, touching disciples, threatening to erase them from existence. Not death, but obliteration, as if they had never been born. Cries filled the eternal domain as shadows of disciples began fading. Yetian's fury exploded. System override, sovereign seal activated. Effect, protects existence of disciples tied to sovereign's name. Cannot be erased while sovereign stands. A blazing seal manifested over each disciple, shielding them from annihilation. Their faith roared even stronger, filling the eternal palace with unstoppable power. With that, Yetian unleashed his strongest technique yet. Eternal Spear, Tomorrow's Dawn. The strike pierced through countless blossoms, shattering them into motes of white light. The world brightened, the suffocating pressure easing for a heartbeat. The ancestor in white stepped back for the first time. Her expression, calm as ice, flickered with intrigue. You can even defy erasure. Interesting. Truly, the Tao favors you. But her eyes sharpened, like blades hidden in snow. Let us see if you can defy eternity itself. Chapter 45, The Sovereign Who Defies Eternity. The ancestor in white raised her hand, and behind her unfolded an endless tapestry of stars. Each star was a world, each world a history, each history an eternity. I am the keeper of forgotten eternities. Against me, your tomorrow is but a flicker of light. Yetian's system blared warnings. Fatal danger detected. No countermeasure available. Choice, submit to ancestor, or ascend beyond sovereign. Yetian's heart thundered, submit, impossible. His disciples, though terrified, stood tall. Every single one cried out, "We believe in you, sovereign. Defy eternity, forge tomorrow." Their voices, their faith, their Tao, all surged into Yetian. The eternal palace roared, its 9 halls blazing. The eternal throne at its center expanded further, revealing a hidden seat, the sovereign seat of tomorrow. Yetian sat upon it. The spear in his hand turned into pure light, transcending weapon and Tao alike. System update, evolution unlocked. You are no longer merely sovereign. Title achieved, Eternal Defier. With one strike, Yetian slashed at the tapestry of stars. Worlds trembled, histories shook, eternities quaked. The ancestor in white's technique cracked for the first time. The impossible had happened. Yetian defied eternity itself. The ancestor in white's eyes widened slightly, her voice soft. So, the boy truly can break eternity. And with that, she withdrew, her figure dissolving into snow. Survive, eternal defier. We will meet again at the end of all Tao. The sky cleared. The world breathed again. The disciples of tomorrow wept and laughed, kneeling before their sovereign. Yetian exhaled, exhausted, but his eyes blazed with unyielding fire. He had defied eternity, and his journey was only beginning. Chapter 46, Gathering of the Ancestors. The world had barely healed from the clash with the ancestor in white when the skies darkened again. But this time, it wasn't one presence, it was many. One by one, colossal shadows appeared beyond the firmament. Each was an ancestor, a being who had lived since before history itself. Their forms were vast and unfathomable. One wreathed in flames that devoured even the laws of fire. One cloaked in shadows that erased all memory of his existence. One whose body was chains, rattling with every law bound under heaven. And countless more. The ancestors spoke as one. A sovereign who defies eternity must not exist. He is a flaw in the Tao itself. Erase him and restore order. Even the heavenly emperor trembled, bowing to their voices. Mortals across realms fell into despair. Yetian stood tall within the eternal palace. His spear pointed upward, defiance burning in his eyes. Flaw, no, I am proof that tomorrow exists beyond your eternity. The system pulsed. Main quest updated. Face the gathering of ancestors. New feature unlocked. Eternal Legion. Disciples may now combine faith into formations, capable of fighting on sovereign level. For the first time, the disciples of tomorrow could strike against ancestors' avatars, not as pawns, but as soldiers of the sovereign. The battle for existence itself was about to begin. Chapter 47, Eternal Legion's First March. The ancestors unleashed their will, pressing down on the world. Stars shattered, oceans boiled, mountains crumbled into dust. Cultivators in distant realms screamed, their Tao foundations collapsing under the sheer weight. But within the eternal domain, the Eternal Legion formed. Disciples aligned into formations. The sword tied, thousands of blades weaving into a single sea of cutting intent. The flame dragon array, roaring infernos given shape, burning even heaven's chains. The tomorrow's shield, a dome of willpower that blocked the ancestors' crushing presence. Every disciple shone, their faith uniting, their voices thundered. We march for the sovereign, we march for tomorrow. The ancestors' avatars descended, each a calamity. Yetian's disciples fought not as ants, but as lions. For every disciple who fell, 10 rose stronger. For every array broken, another surged to life. From the eternal palace, Yetian guided them, his spear cutting down where formations faltered. The system's notifications rang endlessly. Disciples, unity plus faith reached new threshold. Eternal Legion evolves, now capable of sovereign-level strikes. The impossible was happening. Disciples who once trembled at shadows now struck at ancestors. But the ancestors were endless, their might beyond measure. And then the worst arrived. Chapter 48, The Ancestor of Chains. Among the gathered ancestors, one stepped forward, the ancestor of chains. His body was forged of infinite links, each chain binding a law of the Tao. With a single gesture, he shackled entire worlds, sealing rivers, stars, and even time itself. His voice boomed like thunder. Eternal Defier, you shall not break free of me. Chains whipped into the eternal domain, coiling around disciples, binding formations, sealing techniques. The Eternal Legion's power waned, their voices choked by suppression. Yeshin's spear lashed out, shattering countless chains, but for each broken, more arose. His system screamed warnings. Warning, sovereign authority suppressed by 70%. Critical threat detected. Ancestor of Chains specializes in sealing eternity. For the first time, the eternal palace itself trembled as chains sought to bind it. Disciples screamed as their Tao roots began to wither under suppression. Yeshin's heart blazed. No chain can bind tomorrow. He thrust his spear with every ounce of defiance, golden light erupting in waves. But the ancestor of chains only sneered. Tomorrow does not exist, only eternity chained. And the chains closed in. Chapter 49, Breaking the Chains of Eternity. In the moment of despair, the system unlocked a hidden path. System evolution triggered. Sovereign defiance path. Description: host may burn sovereign essence to defy absolute laws. Warning: cost is irreversible. Failure means total annihilation. Yeshin roared, burning his sovereign essence. His body cracked, blood spilling, but his spear blazed brighter than suns. Chains of eternity. Then watch as I break eternity itself. With one strike, he shattered the bindings around his disciples. Another shattered the seals around the eternal palace. A third shattered the links binding time itself. The ancestor of chains staggered, disbelief flashing in his ancient eyes. You severed chains forged before the birth of heaven. Yeshin spat blood, but stood tall. No chain can bind what refuses to stop walking forward. The ancestor of chains recoiled. For the first time in countless eras, a chain broke that was never meant to break. Disciples roared, their formations blazing anew, their faith surging stronger than ever. The eternal palace thundered with a new proclamation. New title earned, Chainbreaker of Tao. Effect: suppression-based techniques reduced by 90% against sovereign. Yeshin had broken what even eternity thought unbreakable. Chapter 50, The End of Tao Revealed. As the ancestor of chains reeled, the other ancestors fell silent. Their gazes, vast as worlds, turned toward Yeshin not with disdain, but with something colder: recognition. The ancestor in white's voice echoed among them. He breaks chains. He defies eternity. He is no longer just sovereign. He is walking toward the end of Tao. The words shook all existence. Cultivators across realms whispered in terror. End of Tao, what is that? A place even ancestors fear, where all Tao collapses, where nothing remains. The ancestors spoke as one. He must not reach it. The heavens turned blood red. Stars trembled. The Tao itself shivered as if rejecting Yeshin's existence. The system pulsed with a chilling revelation. Main quest updated. Objective: walk the path to the end of Tao. Note, this is the path of no return. Survive and rewrite existence. Fail and vanish forever. Yeshin gripped his spear, eyes blazing. He turned to his disciples. The ancestors want me gone. The Tao itself fears me, but tomorrow will not bow. The disciples roared back. Tomorrow never bows. And so, under heavens stained in blood, the sect of tomorrow began its march toward the end of Tao.